Okay, so this video is completely off what my usual videos are, but I wanted to make it because it sounded interesting to me when I was thinking of different concepts. I doubt it will get very many views anyway, but let's just see. So, although I am on Minecraft here, this will have no relation to that, and instead we can basically have a 3D model of the building we are talking about today, which is obviously here. So instead of having pictures we have to go off, this is actually a relatively accurate recreation of it. So we can probably quite well analyse it from here. We're going to be using bits of Lord of the Ring, bits of architecture, a bit of history in there, and then we'll be discussing this building and is it good for defending, what it's used for, is it not? I saw, what was it? Shadowversity, was that his name? Do some for some fortresses, but they were main ones, and this is a lesser known one, but let's get into this. So, initially, what we have to discuss is the height of the building. So, it's meant to be a watchtower. It sort of is, it kind of guards this path here. This path isn't entirely accurate, but we'll go with this being accurate. And where it's placed, and it's placed around a mountainous area. This does mean, however, sorry about that, the weather got in the way. But this does mean that it is a watchtower, and it's meant to look over the other areas. Now, as you can see here, it does watch over this path, but it also majorly watches over Mordor. This obviously is quite a significant issue, because why would you need to watch over Mordor when it's your territory? Doesn't really make any sense, but it is interesting nonetheless. What instead would be useful is to create a gate on this pathway which stops anyone getting past without checking. So let's have a look at the actual building now. If we look at the walls here, they obviously are ramparts, and relatively good ones at that. From the actual books, if I remember, they could walk on the ramparts, which obviously very useful. And we see here that there are regular towers and bridges and walkways across this building. This means you can have a good view of everyone around, and if it is besieged, you can defend against it. However, the issue we have here is that it does restrict view. Now, because it is a watchtower and isn't intended to defend against huge armies, the restriction of view means no one can see anything. And that takes away the use of the thing entirely. You could argue that the watchers at the front gate are able to take up this role, but they are already taking up the role of entering the fort. So you could sneak around it if you needed to. I can't remember how Frodo and Sam snuck around it again. It was either something to do with the ring, from what I remember. Maybe that was right. But that fails the point of the building in its entirety, to stop people get past. It's failed to stop the most important thing that Sauron needs to get past it, which means it's pretty much useless. Another issue with these watchers is that these watchers make the orcs inside apathetic, which means they will not be on their guard for actual important raids or other issues like that. Now, if we have a look inside, there actually is really no defensive fortifications, which probably is okay. They don't need it, it is their home. But it neither suits as a home nor a defensive fortification. There's nothing in here. Once you breach the rules, you've pretty much got a free reign. And then we see again, the quarters aren't great, and the orcs obviously just sleep around wherever they like. So it's sort of a place where they're meant to stay, but then it doesn't suit either of the main goals that it needs to. We can also see that the staircases and these sort of things are fortified. Now, the staircase is spiraled, which some people argue is used for defending as you go up the staircase, but that's not entirely true. I was watching someone recently, and they were saying, if I can remember his name, I'll put it in the comments. Remember him saying that the staircases weren't used for this, and once you breach this settlement, what's the point of defending it even more? You're going to be overrun. So these staircases are just a pain, and they will add nothing to the defences. We do see here that there is an attempt at another gatehouse, but this, again, if you're gonna have it, you might as well repair it, and this is at Mordor at its height. They had just built Barad-dûr, so if this isn't being protected, what's the point of having it? Again, we see ramparts and other things like that, but we do see that the walls are inconsistent in their height. Now, same good Helm's Deep, but we'll see that getting over this would be easy. This isn't how it is in the book, I don't think, but if this is what we're going off, you could jump over that very easily. It's neither suited for its main purpose nor its secondary purpose. Now, if we have a look at where it's placed on the map, so this is Lord of the Ring base, so if you want to skip off if you're not interested in that, but it's placed here. So the path to Minas Morgul go into Mordor this way, or there's a secondary way around it. And what's defending it is Shelob the Spider. Again, in this case, why does it need to have such massive defences for an army if it's going to have to go past Minas Morgul first? What's the point of that? We see it's very difficult to actually get to this point. Not only would the people and the army have to march past Minas Morgul, but they would also have to climb these stairs. A whole army, of which many near Sam and Frodo, hobbits notoriously good on their feet, almost slipped down at many times. An army couldn't get up here, so why is there defences for an army? There's no reason for that to be the case. Now, if we go back, we see that it is designed for a large-scale assault. Why would you have the ramparts? That's used for defensive. It's not going to be besieged by any sort of army, ever. Unless they come from Mordor, but what if they've come from inside Mordor? They've had to come from the Black Gate all the way down here and then besiege it, which by that point there's no point. So why would you have it? There are good features, however. This bridge, for example, is incredibly useful. It acts as a bottleneck for anyone who is either sneaking their way around or besieging it. You could blow this up if you needed to defend against a larger force, or you could just place some guards standing on this bridge, which would stop anyone sneaking by it. We also see that the height does have some advantages, as you can look down, but it will have issues if you're trying to look at small hobbits. The biggest issue with it, though, is that it is manned with orcs, and as seen in the movie, just massacred each other. There's no point in having this if it isn't regularly defended. So at the moment, it is just a building that needs to be run, despite it not having any use at all, as it is not being run effectively. Thank you for watching. I don't know how well this video will do. Maybe no one's got to this point. But thank you for watching. See you in the next video.